Welcome to Sober and Lit.
The podcast for women who want to get sober, stay sober, and live a life that's way more lit than it ever was with wine.
We're your hosts, Ruby and Susan, two alcohol freedom coaches keeping it real with stories, tools, and zero judgment.
Whether you're sober curious or all in, you're in the right place.
Let's feel lit, alcohol free. Welcome back to the Sober and Lit podcast. I'm Ruby and I'm here with Coach Susan, and we have a special guest today. Patricia Becker is a veteran yoga instructor and plant-based nutrition coach whose mission is to help adults 50 plus rediscover strength, vitality, and joy through mindful movement, breath work, and natural eating. With more than 4 decades of study and practice, Patricia draws on her early journey from navigating health challenges to life transitions to inform a holistic wellness path that supports aging with grace. She is the founder of Your Health and Joy, Yoga and Nutrition for Adults 50 Plus, where she leads live and on-demand classes such as chair yoga, yoga reboot, and aging with grace. Patricia's coaching emphasizes mobility, balance, inner awareness, and nutrition. It's tuned into the needs of mature bodies and minds. So welcome, Patricia. Hi there.
Thank you. Hi, Ruby. Hi, Susan.
Yeah. So we met at my first ever and only yoga retreat that I've ever done in my life up here in Northern California. It was called Aging with Grace, and it was a yoga retreat. And that's where I met you, Patricia. And it was such a wonder. I just love all you do in the world, and your retreat was amazing. And so I thought I'd have you on because you said that you consider yourself alcohol free. So I thought you'd be a great guest because a lot of our listeners are people over 50 or in their 60s or even 70s. So yeah, will you just share a little bit about your decision to not drink alcohol? Yeah.
Yes, I will. I'll be happy to. So, hi, everyone. I started drinking in high school. I hung out with all the people who drank. I drank. And then I married one of the guys who was in that group. And then I got married and we drank. And we went out to the discos. And he was in the Air Force. We moved to Montana and we kept drinking. It was just the thing you do. And then we moved to Florida. And we were drinking, and I tried to get him to slow down because he would get really crazy when he was drinking. Little did I know he was also taking a Quaalude with the alcohol. That was not too good. And he kept mixing drugs and alcohol. I got divorced.
Okay.
I went, yeah. And I moved back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I went to high school, and got a job at a restaurant where there was lots of drinking. So I was drinking. And I also stopped the birth control pill because when I was with him for 9.5 years, I didn't want to have a baby. So I was taking the birth control pill. So I got divorced. I stopped the birth control pill and my face broke out in big welts, pimples kind of thing. And when you go through a change like a divorce, you're very stressed. So I would go to the dermatologist, what can I do for this? Does it have anything to do with what I'm eating? He said, no. It doesn't have anything to do with what you're eating. It's just a phase you're going through. Take this pill. Well, I took that pill. It did nothing. And I went back. He said, oh yeah, it's not doing it. Take this pill. It's stronger. That didn't do anything. And then I went back and I was just thinking to the universe, this must have something to do with what I'm eating and drinking. So I think I went back a third time and he gave me some really strong pills that were making me nauseous and awful. And at that time, someone told me about macrobiotics. Macro means large or great, and biotic means life. So she told me about that. She had me over to her house for some rice and vegetables and miso soup. And I started studying about macrobiotics, and it says, what's medically impossible is macrobiotically easy. So I'm thinking, this food has something to do with this, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, all this alcohol, all this sugar and cheese and beef and pork and all that. So I got a consultation. There was a little macrobiotic center, maybe an hour from where I was living in Pittsburgh at that time. And I went there and I got a consultation with a wonderful person. He still doing consultations. He's in his 70s. His name is Michael Rosoff. And so he said, oh, we're going to clear up your face. It's going to be really beautiful. You're going to love it. And he gave me a list of things to eat, a list of things to do. And I drove home from that consultation. I was crying. I'm there. I can't eat anything. You know, he's telling me to eat things that we know about now. But like 40 years ago, not many people heard about quinoa or teff or millet or, you know, all these different kinds of beans and seaweed. I started eating seaweed. And I said to my friend, I have to go to the health food store and look for some seaweed. She goes, when did you get an aquarium? I said, no, I'm going to eat the stuff. So I started eating it and stopped drinking, start taking some yoga classes. I went like, I did not make a gradual change. I threw the sugar out. I threw the alcohol out. I stopped beef and I just started eating vegetables and rice and grains and seaweed and nuts and seeds. And I started feeling amazing. I started like, gosh, I don't need that much sleep. And I wake up and I'm there, I'm ready to go. What can I do? You know?
Yeah.
And I had a sore ankle for years. When I was in high school skiing, and I thought this was like 11, 12 years later, and that ankle was always sore. And I figured, well, I'm just going to live with a sore ankle the rest of my life. When I stopped drinking and started eating better, that ankle healed. I couldn't believe it. I tried to get it to hurt again. I couldn't get it. So it's like magic happens inside the body when it has the proper nutrition. And then I started taking yoga too. But just a little bit, not a lot, just a little. Then I was in Pittsburgh and I wanted to go, I was living in Montana. I was in Pittsburgh. I really wanted to go back out west with the big skies and the mountains and everything. So I was reading a journal. It's called East West Journal. Do you remember that? It was a very popular alternative health macrobiotic magazine. And I was reading it and I read a little classified ad in there. Wanted a nanny in Boulder, Colorado, in exchange to learn macrobiotics. I read that little ad. I read it and I said, oh, that's me. That's for me. That was written for me. So meantime, I was working at AT&T. I was an operator in Montana, and then I transitioned to Florida with AT&T, and then I went back to Pittsburgh working for AT&T. But I wanted that job as a nanny, and there was no pay. And I went, and when I was working there at AT&T, I felt like I was reporting for paid prison duty. I hated it so much. I hated it. But, you know, that's what you do. You have to work, you have to get money. So I kept asking my supervisor at AT&T, like every couple months, can I have a leave of absence? She said, no, you can't have a leave. No, we can't do it. I said, can I have a leave of absence, please? No, you can't have it. And so then I went to her, I said, I'm quitting. I'm going to go to Boulder and be a nanny. She said, what? She said, you've lost your mind. You don't know those people. You've never been there. She says, I'm going to give you a leave of absence. So I packed up everything, drove myself to Colorado. I'd never been in Colorado, moved to Boulder, Colorado with everything I had. And I started being a nanny and learning about macrobiotics there. Wow. And it was very interesting. I had a little bedroom in this house with other people. They were teachers of macrobiotics, and there was a macrobiotic center down the road. And I would take all the cooking classes I could to learn how to make this food that I didn't know about taste good. Fortunately, I love to cook. So I kept taking those cooking classes, and then one day they said, you're going to teach the cooking class. I go, how am I going to teach the cooking class? They said, you know a lot more than the other people coming in here. Just go for it. So I did that for a little while, and I started building my confidence. And then when I was there in Boulder, there were some people in California who were looking for a private chef. At this time, back in the late 80s, people would hire private macrobiotic chefs. So I got hired with these billionaires to cook for them in Hillsborough, California.
Okay,
yeah.
Know it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a very ritzy neighborhood, like Bing Crosby's wife was down, and lots of very famous people. So I was there for a month, and they said, why don't you leave Colorado and come live with us? And if you want to teach about healthy living, macrobiotics, good nutrition, you have to get a proper degree. So we'll pay for you to go to school, and you just cook one meal a day. I said, okay. So there I was. I packed everything up. I had a friend. I got there to their house, to their mansion, and they said, you can stay, but the friend that helped you move out, he can't stay. Why can't he stay in this gigantic house? They said, you're not married. I said, well, if he can't stay, I'm not staying. So there I was in California with no job and all my things in a U-Haul trailer. I found Harbin Hot Springs.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
So I was in San Francisco, and they were looking for a cook and a cooking teacher at Harbin Hot Springs. Well, this was my first time in California. I didn't know anything. I didn't know Harbin Hot Springs, but they were putting up a little advertisement in this macrobiotic center in San Francisco for a chef and a cooking teacher. And I saw the guy hanging it, and I said, that's for me. I'm your girl. I want that job. He said, have you trained properly at the Kushi Institute? I said, no, but I'm better than that. So he said, well, come on up and meet our director, drive up there, and he'll interview you. So I drove up to Harbin Hot Springs from San Francisco. And as I'm driving up the pearly gates of Harbin, have you been there, Susan? Mm-mm. No, but Ruby's been there.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah. Maybe some of the other listeners. It's a beautiful hot springs in Northern California, north of Calistoga. So I said to myself, I am getting this job. I'm going to say whatever they want. So the guy interviewing me said, do you cook with spices? I said, do you want me to? He said, no. I said, I won't. He said, do you cook with nightshades? I said, do you want me to? He said, no. I said, okay, I won't. I got the job.
Yay! Oh my gosh. You have like a lot of like the universe like gives you, the job opportunity, and you're open to it, and you just keep following. What I heard is you follow your intuition. Like your intuition was telling you it was the food and the drink that was unhealthy. And then you just kept wanting to get healthier and healthier. And yeah. And then I know that when we did the yoga retreat, you talked a lot about breath work, and you introduced me to this book, which if you can see, I'll read it, but it's James Nestor's Breath. This is to me like the Bible of breath. I've read it multiple times now, and I use it with clients. And would you share a little bit about like the breath work that you do with your clients, and maybe you can even share a breath practice with us for our listeners.
I would love to. Yes. So our breath is our most intimate friend and ally. It's always supporting us 24/7, free of charge. And in yoga, as he talks about a lot in that book, they would practice various different breath patterns to emphasize what they were trying to do. So you can use your breath to energize you. You can use your breath to calm you down. So in my classes with my private clients, I usually start and end with some connection to our breath. And I call it loving awareness. And it's so good for us to slow down and tune into our breath. So shall we do that now?
Sure. I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's everyone sit up tall wherever you are. Yeah. Lift up your shoulders, draw them back, and then let them rest down away from your ears. And let's even put one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly. And close your eyes and bring all your awareness to your inhale and your exhale. Just observe your natural breath. Now we'll practice a breath pattern to help relax our bodies and our minds. We're going to inhale 4 through the nose, breath retention to the count of 7, and we're going to exhale through the mouth to the count of 8. And I'll count you through a few times. So together, everyone, exhale fully. Big inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Big inhale through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do it 2 more times on your own. And when you're done, you can let your tops of your hands fall down to your thighs. Gently open your eyes.
Wow. I feel really good.
Yeah.
It only takes 90 seconds to reset, to de-stress. Then the long exhale, as you may know, it's connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of our body that lets us release and relax, let go.
So fast. And I think that our listeners, if you're also going through maybe a alcohol craving or urge, this breath work would really calm you down, your paranervous system, and relax you and help you get through that urge. Yeah.
Yes. It's always there for you. If you feel like you need a drink, just close your eyes, sit down, and do some even breathing, or even that inhale 4, hold 7, exhale 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Susan and I often have talked about, we call it 2X breath, where we breathe in for 2 and out for 4, for example. And that just, you can feel, kind of the tension just roll off your shoulders. So there's lots of different breathing techniques. I do recommend this book. I just love the book so much. And he's also in San Francisco. I like that part. But now let's talk about movement and how that supports healing and aging with grace. Because a lot of our listeners are women that are aging, or we want to age with grace. We all want that, I think. And it's just, longevity and aging well. And this is just the hot topic. And so, yeah. So when you talk about aging with grace and the role that movement plays, yoga, mobility, balance.
Yes.
What, you want to compare that to, say, traditional fitness strength training, or, Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of, like, if you go to the gym and you're doing a lot of fast repetitive movements, those sort of activate your superficial muscles, and that's good and that's fine. But the yoga sort of slows us down and lengthens some of the muscles. It lets the joints relax and connects to them. So with yoga, it's more about tuning into your body, slowing down, loving your body, stretching it out, and no forcing, no pushing, 0.0 pain. This is all about self-love and self-care. And so when we're doing our yoga practice, yes, we want to challenge ourselves just a little bit. So it's a comfortable challenge. So we always want to keep challenging ourselves, because that's where we change. That's where we grow. But we do it with loving awareness. So if you do it slow, oh, that's just the right amount to go. Don't go any further now. But if you're moving really fast doing things, you don't catch your intuition, right? Saying to slow down and don't do that. So, I feel like our yoga practice creates resilience and tensile strength, so that we bend and we don't break. So our ankles bend when we trip, and they roll right back. They don't break because it's tensile strength.
Love it. Mm. And I know you sent us a bunch of pictures, for this episode, and one of them was like, unlock your locked hip. And I know that for me, because I sit, I work as a sitting job. I sit a lot of people sit, and it's the hips, right? That are always, for me anyway. I know some people, and my shoulder. Well, now I'm starting to get more aches and pains as I get older, but yoga really helps with my hips get locked. They like kind of hurt a lot. And will you share a little bit maybe about a client that's had some shifts with your yoga practices? Yeah.
Yes. And I have a private client who could not do this and could not do that. And, Patricia, I can't do that. And, I really can't do that. Can we do something else? But it's been several years now, and she's doing all these things that she said she couldn't do.
Wow.
She's, she's reaching her foot, she's stretching her hamstring, her quad. She can touch her toes. Her shoulders are more open. Her hips are more open. And she has a hip issue and she has a shoulder issues. So it's playful curiosity. But I would like to give you one good tip for people who sit a lot. When you sit down, usually your hips sort of compress together and your lower back compresses down right from your weight down. So I say lean to the right, squeeze your left glute, your left butt, pull it out and apart and then set it down. Keep it there and do the same thing on the other side. Lean the other way.
Okay.
Really squeeze your glutes so you can feel it. Pull it in, back, and apart. And right there, you've created a little more space, and then lengthen up to your spine, draw your shoulders back. And, in our cars, it squishes it together, and that's compacting. It's creating stagnation and discomfort in our hips, right? Mm-hmm. But if we can broaden it there. So once you start doing that, you probably do it automatically. It's, oh, yeah, it feels much better when I do that.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm wearing tight jeans though, so it's not there's not a lot of movement, but I normally wear looser pants. I was watching this. This just came to mind about hips. It's called, I think it was on Netflix or one of the streaming services. It's called the Blue Zone. Yes. And I'm thinking specifically around Japanese culture. And, we have a culture in the US here where we sit on, easy chairs and couches, and they sit on the floor to eat, and they sit on the floor to go to bed. And I just thought, if we did that every day, if we, especially as we're like 80, 90, my grandfather, I don't know if I told you this, Patricia, but he's 106. But I know, crazy. But if we could gently be sitting down on the floor, up and down, I think we would age more gracefully as a whole nation. If we could do more of this stretching and yeah. And hip openers are really key, because if the hips are tight, then it affects the lower back and all the way up. And if the hips are tight, then it affects the knees. And then that affects the feet. So in my public classes, hip openers are very popular. People love them. People feel better right away, after class. That's one of the beauties of teaching yoga, is because I get immediate rewards, because people say, oh, that felt great. Oh, I feel so much better. Oh, yes, I feel better. And you can move through your day easier, right? Mm-hmm. And I love that you do chair yoga, because for example, I have a client right now that she's having a surgery, I think a hip surgery or maybe a knee surgery or one or the other. But anyway, so she's not going to be able to do yoga, but she could probably do it in a chair. Is there something you could guide our listeners through that are listening through a simple chair yoga stretch?
Yes, I'm so glad you said that, because the chair yoga, anybody can do yoga. Some people say, I've heard someone say, the doctor said, don't do yoga. What the heck?
What the
yoga
heck? Yeah.
means, what the heck? Yoga means to unite, to connect to your breath, to connect to your body. What are you saying? Don't do that. So there's a lot of misunderstandings. But yes, chair yoga is very popular and very good for people who are recovering from surgeries or who have injuries. So a nice hip stretch, this is one of my favorites, is you would take your legs apart. So wherever you're sitting, if you're on a couch or your chair, you would take your legs apart.
I'm doing it.
Now we're all going to have to move back from your mics. Lean forward. This is going to be a little different. And then slide your hands down your legs and touch your ankles. So we all disappeared in this nice hip stretch, lower back stretch. And take your teeth apart. Let your lips rest together. Breathe slowly and deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. And we'll slide our hands up our legs. And we'll sit up straight again.
So easy. And I do feel better. I could do that throughout the day. I think I will just do something simple like that throughout my work day while I'm here. Yeah. Just the breath exercise and that one stretch. I already feel better.
Yeah, me too. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And I've heard that The 4-7-8 breath, if you do it like every day, 4 times overall, people find that they feel calmer on a daily basis. Not just when you need it, not just when you're triggered, but just like as a daily practice, they just find that they just feel more centered. Yeah.
And the self-awareness. So if you're going through your day and they practice that, they're bringing their awareness to themselves.
Yeah.
And the more we bring our awareness to ourselves, loving awareness, non-critical, of course, never. I always say, number one rule in yoga is never criticize yourself. So that loving awareness is our superpower. As you move through your day, how is your posture? How do your hips feel? How do your shoulders feel? What am I thinking about? Am I giving myself positive affirmations? I hope so. And if you're not, just catch yourself and say, and then you can reframe it.
Right. That's a lot of what we do too. And our inner dialogue, our inner thoughts influence our whole well-being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And even in the yoga classes too, right? Your dad must have a very positive attitude, I'm sure.
Oh, my grandfather. Yes.
Your grandfather, yeah.
He does. Patricia, with your life journey, it's like movement, also connection, like you have your classes, but connecting with others or family or friends, and breath work, eating a variety of fruits and vegetables. My grandfather always had an organic garden, since the 1950s. It wasn't even a thing then, but that's what it was. But yeah, I think it's just living better, right? And alcohol has no place in there. It just causes inflammation, causes, our brains to start to get hijacked, and we end up being unhealthy. And I think what you are prescribing is a way to truly age well and age with grace. Yeah.
I think one of the main reasons I don't like alcohol is because it affects my brain, my memory. And I've got to teach a yoga class, a group of people yoga tomorrow. I am not going to have alcohol because I'm not going to have clear thinking.
Right. Well, and it also affects your memory. It increases your chances of getting dementia, which is new information that's been coming out. I don't know how new it is, but it's been more out in, social media and the news, which is really shocking that we haven't had that information, for people to make an informed decision about drinking. That's what I'm about, is we need to get all this information out there because, and I've shared this before, I take care of my mother-in-law with dementia, and it just occurred to me this morning, how would that be to not remember my children, to not remember my life? I don't want to do anything that jeopardizes or puts me in a position to ever have dementia, because that just seems, it's tragic. I look at photo albums with her and she doesn't remember these fabulous trips. She doesn't remember her sons. She doesn't remember her grandchildren. That is so sad. I love what you're doing, helping people age gracefully and realize that we can have this vibrant life in our 50s, 60s, 70s, beyond.
80s, 90s, 100s.
106, yeah.
But, what I loved about your story, Patricia, is that about a client is that in 1 year, and I say this over and over again, in 1 year, if you stop drinking alcohol and start introducing just these simple things that you're prescribing, fruits and vegetables, eating better, moving your body, whether it's with yoga or walking, being out in nature, in 1 year, you can transform and get so much healthier and really, truly age gracefully. You do not have to age where you're infirm and, depressed. It's, we see this, but it's not, I want to be that 80-year-old that's I want to be like you, Patricia. You are my superhero. Yeah. I want to be doing yoga and eating and traveling and maybe even running retreats or something,
Yes.
You are so awesome. And I love that you mentioned the word love. I wrote it. I think you mentioned it about 30 times. You said loving yourself, loving your body, loving your breath, loving awareness. I mean, it's all about the self-love and giving this life the best life and loving ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. So cool. So, Patricia, we're at place in our podcast where we ask our guests, and I'm so excited to ask this, what do you do in your life, to feel lit, alcohol free, or what brings you joy, in your life?
So one of my favorite hobbies is tuning into the body, understanding the body, whether it's mine or people in my classes. So understanding the body and the mind together and how they work, it's really one of my passions and hobbies. And I love to dance. I love to dance, couple dancing, folk dancing, culture dancing, dance. And of course, being in nature, being at the beach. I haven't mastered jumping in the cold water on Sunday mornings like somebody I know will be.
Well, you're always invited to come on up.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, no. Wonderful. Well, that's beautiful. I mean, dance, nature, understanding the body. I'm right there with you. Yeah. So, well, where can our listeners learn more to hear about your chair yoga or your next retreat? Where can they stay connected with you?
Well, I have a free yoga class, a yoga reboot class that they can have. They can go to the website or get it, or I can give it to you for the show notes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a free yoga reboot class for you to renew and restore yourself. And then when you get that class, you'll get on my newsletter and you'll find out about the chair yoga and Aging with Grace series and the yoga reboot series. And the new series begins this January.
Okay.
And you're all invited to join us in community.
And when's your next retreat? I think you mentioned sometime in 2026.
Yes. May 28th through May 31st.
Okay.
It must be May 29th, sorry. In Sonoma County at Rottenalling. Beautiful place, right?
That's where I met you. Okay. It's so beautiful. I hope everybody will come. It's so beautiful in Northern California. And maybe you can join my Sunday jump in the cold water. If you do come, it's just about an hour away. Yeah. We could do a whole thing. All right. Yeah. Well, before we go, Susan, was there anything else you wanted to say or?
Oh gosh, no, I'm super excited to look into this yoga retreat. I grew up in California, even though I'm in Connecticut. I love everything, the loving awareness. Like if we bring loving awareness to anything in our life, that's the first step for changing anything. But the loving part, doing everything lovingly makes such a difference. So I really appreciate that. And I loved learning the stretches and the breath work. It's just a thrill and a delight to meet you.
Patricia, it's been so fun. And you are just so special. And you're just like, when I meet you in person, you have so much vitality. So everybody's going to love Patricia. I'll just say that.
Giving you a virtual hug.
Yes, virtual hugs. Okay, thanks so much. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Sober and Lit podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps get the word out.
And remember, do something today to help you feel lit.
See you next week.